So the big thing in 4.1, and again, this isn't the full notes, you need to watch those yourself, but make sure you know the difference between quantitative data and categorical data. I'm not going to write out the whole word. Most of your Schoology assignment deals with, can you classify things as either quantitative, think of the word quantity, or categorical, think of categories. Now, the answer to a quantitative question must be a number. Okay, so you'll never really, well, I shouldn't say never, but rarely will you put things that you answer with a number in the categorical. So if it's asking how many, or how tall are you, or what is your weight, and you answer that with a number that can be measuring something. And by measuring, we're measuring your height, we're measuring your weight. It's basically that how many question. There are some numbers that do go into categorical, but categorical is usually not numbers. It's like, are you a boy or a girl? Are you a freshman or a senior? Do you like Chick-fil-A? Or do you prefer, what's the other one, Cane's chicken? Like, you're categorizing and you're not asking with a numerical answer. Now, a couple numerical answers do go in the categorical. Those are things like, what's your zip code? Because that's not measuring anything, right? It's nothing that you would average and find an average zip code, but you could find an average height, an average weight, an average number of texts. So when you're trying to decide if a number goes in quantitative, it almost always does, unless your number is not measuring something, like a zip code or the number on your license plate, right? Or your phone number, although that's a number, 76324100082. It's not a number that's measuring anything. It's not a number that we would find an average amount of. So that's the big takeaway from 4.1 is the difference between quantitative data, how much, how many things you're measuring, things you average. Put that on there, can average. And the difference between that and categorical. Now, there is one on your Schoology assignment that does ask about an age, which is a how many question, like what is your age? And you would answer, well, with a 16, and I'd answer with a 52, and Mr. Janan would answer with a 50, and Mr. Monahan would answer with, I don't know how old he is, let's say he's 29, Mr. Peshman would answer, I believe he's 31, and we could average those numbers. So kids in class, when we talked about this, wanted to say it was quantitative, and it is, except in that problem, they were putting them into categories of 0 to 25, 26 to whatever. So because we were categorizing them, it actually goes here. So again, and just the last mention of this, almost always quantitative is an answer to how many, how much, it can be averaged, it's a number. Some numbers, though, can go in the categorical if they're not measuring things. And this is one situation where a numerical answer went categorical, but 9 out of 10 times you're going to be right if you think if my answer's a number, it's quantitative. If it's not a number, it's categorical, but there are few exceptions to that rule that I mentioned. All right, so that's the big takeaway from 4.1.